Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast with Mike Trainer, Jay Jules, and John Depot. Hey, what's up, Giants fam? Welcome to our new podcast. A different name, still the same vibe. We're calling ourselves the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. We are the former host of the Giants Brawl podcast. You all know us. I'm Mike Trainer, at Mike Trainer MFT. You know Jules NYC1, and John, NYG Slap Parade. All of us on Twitter, man. But listen, go like and follow us on the new podcast Twitter page at BBO NYG Podcast. Guys, what's going on, man? What changed?
Not much, man, except for the fact that, we kind of collaborated and decided to take matters into our own hand and create our own podcast. And I think it's the way to go in nowadays and age, right? You know, like get out there, get on your own and kind of get things going and keep it the way we had it. But you know what? Former hosts of Giants Brawl. And this is our stuff now. This is everything we do, completely unedited. Any sponsors we want to bring are going to be brought in because we decided to bring them in.
Damn right.
That's fucking right, guys. The Big Blue Offensive Podcast, formerly of the host of Giants Brawl. We're excited, man. All the listeners coming over from the Giants Brawl, I just want to say appreciate you guys kind of coming on. This is going to be our pilot episode. Short, sweet, to the point, nothing too crazy. Get into some of the draft stuff, a little bit of extra stuff. But, we felt like the best thing to do, just to kind of throw a little bit more into the podcast, try to get some merchandise out there, try to do some live events, some more on the YouTube end. And we just felt it was easier. It was a better move for the three of us to kind of start out on our own kind of brand. Go on Twitter, follow us there. We're going to have a Giants group on Facebook, Giants page on Facebook. We'll be getting all the news to you, opinions, and all the laughs you could possibly hope for from a sports podcast.
You said it on YouTube. On YouTube is at BBO NYG Podcast as well. So go like and subscribe, do whatever you got to do to that button and follow us, man. We appreciate you guys, like John said.
That's it. So just to kind of get into, we're planning on using next week as our grand opening episode. And we're obviously going to be focusing in on the draft. We'll be about a week away at that point in time. And that's what all the focus is going to be on. Here it is. All the talk you've heard from us for months and months and months regarding this. Who's going to get picked when, what we're taking, before we got Kenny Galladay, all the greatness. Well, now we're here, right? We're literally about 2 weeks away at this point in time. And stay tuned for our grand opening episode that's going to primarily focus on that. But in the meantime, we'll kind of give you a preview of what to expect. Obviously, we're going to be diving into it. We're going to kind of do a little bit of a mock draft. We're going to have our different opinions. Some might be we agree upon, others we might disagree on. But we're going to kind of give you a little idea of what we're looking at the pick at a number 11. So, Mike, you're on the clock. Giants pick is up. Number 11, who you taking?
Ding, ding, ding. Right, that little chime. Let's see. Trevor Lawrence. No, I'm only kidding. Let's keep it real. Let's be serious. Listen, I mean, if you listen to our previous podcast that we work for, we won't name the name again. It'll probably be Devontae Smith for me, man. I love the guy, man. Like his stats are just off the charts. I mean, 13 games, 117 receptions for over 1,800 yards and 23 touchdowns. I mean, the guy's electric. Sure, soaking wet, he's probably like 170 pounds. I got him beat by like about 50 fucking pounds, I could probably just squash this dude like a bug if I could catch him. But I tell you, man, how are these guys? Like, I understand he's like kind of like, he's real skinny, but how are guys going to be able to catch him if he's just fucking flying all over the fucking field, man? As long as he don't go over the middle and get cracked, like, I'll be very happy with him to be another weapon for Daniel Jones.
So everything that you said was true and nothing was exaggerated except the fact that you said 170 pounds.
Oh, come on now. Give the guy a break, man. He's 170 soaking wet.
Listen, 170 pounds. Not if he had 3 towels that were saturated on him.
Listen, I'm saying he's soaking wet in uniform with the equipment on.
Yeah, with the finger hanging on top of him.
His helmet weighs about 15, 20.
Listen, man, for me, I feel like I trust Dave Gettleman. I trust Joe Judge that they're going to make the right pick. And I understand that we're not really privy to enough information to kind of make a real good decision on it. You don't know the medicals and all this other stuff. If they take Devontae Smith, I'll be excited because that means that they really believe in the kid's talent. Me personally, I don't know. I feel like he's just too small, man. I've always heard Bill Parcells talk about not getting anybody under 180 pounds for the NFL. This dude is a couple dozen pounds short of that. You could see it in his frame. You know, he's tall, skinny. He looks like a Scandinavian lingerie model, bro. When he walks around out there. If he just did some more squats, bro, he'd be modeling thongs, fucking thong bathing suits in fucking New Zealand somewhere. Me personally, though, I think Rashawn Slater type. I don't particularly know if Rashawn Slater is the best guy. I personally feel like from what people were saying last year before the last college football season, he was projected as a day 2 guy. He didn't play all of last season. Now, doesn't mean he didn't get better, didn't mean he get stronger and, training on the particular moves and stuff like that. And again, if the brass thinks that he's the best guy, great. I just think that the right guard position, if we can get the best guy in the country to play one of our guard positions, I think that helps our team the most. That's my particular pick. If it's Rashawn Slater, great. If it's Vera Tucker, great. If it's Sewell, great. If it's Billy Ballsack, great. If it's Sammy Strodenberg, it's great. I don't care. Still an offensive lineman, and not take him in the second round where you're getting the third or fourth or fifth best guy, and hopefully he works out to be the best guy out of the group. No, identify the alpha guard and get him at 11. Trade back a couple spots if you need to, whatever. I don't care. Get the alpha guard in the best guard in the country at pick 11. That's what I'm hoping for. If it's Rashawn Slater, great. Jules, what about you?
The alpha omega guard? Is that what you're talking about right there?
No, I don't know about all that.
Shots.
Well, listen, here's the thing with that, right? I don't know particularly if there is a guard that is in that kind of a situation, because that would be the ideal pick there at number 11. And that's the only sort of reason why I'm a little hesitant. The thing that brings a good light to Slater is the fact that he played tackle, he played guard, he could play center. He can move around utilize around the entire line, and he doesn't necessarily have to step in and right away be the replacement guard for our offensive line. He can kind of work his way in like other guys did last season and kind of build up to that point in time and see where he really fits. He'll also have training camp. He might even have some preseason. So it's not going to be in a certain sense the same situation other guys were in like last season. So I like Slater there. I wouldn't be pissed off if we took him at 11. But I just don't know if that is the right guy for that pick. It's kind of how I feel about the guys on that D line. Anybody in the D line, there's no guys that are out there that are like Boza or Chase Young from last season, where there's just this surefire defensive lineman, pass rush type guy that's going to be, he fell to 11. This is insane. That's where I kind of am a little hesitant with some of these offensive and defensive linemen at 11. And if we did something that's obviously on Dave Gettleman like and traded back, then it would be ideal to go after one of those guys, but I just don't see that happening. As for Devontae Smith, I've been a big, huge fan of him. I talk about him all the time. I think he's the best wide receiver, arguably in the draft. I know Chase is, we can go back and forth with it, but it is what it is. And if the dude was 15 pounds heavier, you'd be talking about him taking in the top 3. So literally, that's the only sort of knock on him. You have all these personal trainers, nutrition, this and that. If the kid's got the skills, they could put him in the right kind of training mode and get him there. So we'll see. But I also don't think he's going to be there at 11, Mike. I have to tell you that much. I just don't. I think, I think there's just too many people that have needs for wide receivers and playmakers that he might end up going before 11. But if he's there, it's going to be interesting. Look, you know what?
You're thinking like Lions, you're thinking Miami, you're thinking Carolina maybe as taking wide receivers and Devontae be gone with one of those teams?
Absolutely. I mean, look, you have those 3 teams that are kind of in need. Now, look, obviously, Carolina is probably the least of the 3 when you mention those teams that you had said. But, look, the Lions, to me, I've seen some weird kind of projections. But if they don't take a fucking wide receiver, they're retarded. They are absolutely fucking retarded, all right? Like, it's 0 cents. Doesn't mean I don't what they're fucking thinking, right? Miami, I don't know if Pitts is going to be sitting there, so that's the wild card right there. You know, Pitts might go sooner, he might go later. If that's the case, then Chase would fall down. You know, theoretically, if of course they're saying Cincinnati might not reach for a wide receiver. I don't know. There's a lot of talk. Apparently, if we listen to all the experts, all 3 wide receivers, the tight end, and 5 quarterbacks are going in your first fucking 9 picks. All right. So, like, there you go. And then the Cowboys will take a fucking quarter, and we got everything else from there. Which kind of leads me into my guy and Micah Parsons, because look, Mika. Yeah, aka Mika, right? If he's there, it's for a reason, and it's because he fell down because of these bad reports. Look, let's face it, in this day and age with all the technology out there and social media and all this kind of nonsense, if it was serious, and I'm talking really, really serious, of this type of hazing and everything else that he's accused of doing, to the point where he should have been arrested to that extent. Meanwhile, Humphreys is the one that pulled the knife on him for beating him up. But we were not even talking about that, right? That would be out there. You can't hide no more, right? None of these dudes can hide no more. There's no more hiding. Like, once you're a public figure, your shit is out there. Just fucking realize that, all right? Like, that's all there is to it.
Joe, and you don't imagine LT, the shit that if we heard about him, he would have slid from number 2 probably to like the 3rd round.
Dude,
so it's like,
don't you remember crazy. Warren Sapp back in the day?
Right.
Bro, Warren Sapp was like a top 5 pick, and he was smoking weed, and the dude dropped to what, like 15th to 16th or some shit like that when he got picked? Like some ridiculous in this. I don't want Parsons to be that. That's what I'm afraid of. Now, look, they're different players. Obviously, Sapp's a Hall of Famer. I'm not even trying to compare the two, but the situation I see in this sense where he could fall down the ladder. And if he does, and he's sitting there at 11 and say Devontae Smith is gone, man, that's the type of impact player next to Martinez that could just literally take this defense to that next level, because we don't have that second level defensive guys. And bringing in a stud player that, again, if there wasn't all this bullshit going on, he'd be in the mix with those quarterbacks and receivers and all that shit being taken in the first 8 picks, without a doubt. There wouldn't be no doubt about it, probably even higher, where teams might even trade up for him.
I won't be mad at that if they take Micah Parsons with that pick, because in a defense you need a little quote unquote edge to a guy. You want to get, speaking of the edge, like, I don't want the Giants to trade back and get like one of these edge guys at 15 to 19 or whatever the case may be. We don't need extra picks. We got a good team. We got depth. I want a guy that's going to come in and make an impact right away. Whether that's this wide receiver that I want, whether it's later solidified on the right side of the offensive line, or, Micah Parsons, where he could be just a beast. Listen, I trust whatever the Giants do. Whoever they pick, I'm going to be happy, regardless, and I'm going to root for. And I'll probably buy the fucking jersey. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
What about the hat? Everybody talks about the hat like crazy on Twitter with the charcoal fucking look like the charcoal bag hat. I was kind of feeling it after a while. So many people hated on that shit. I was like, you know what? The hat ain't that bad, bro. I even like they got the trucker style, which I love wearing.
Next fucking NFL draft, maybe we show up in the hat of some charcoal. We'll hand out charcoal fucking pieces to fucking people or some shit, man.
Listen, for real. Like I'm definitely getting that Keystone shit for when we do the podcast out for the opening day.
Fucking hat's dope.
For real. Well, listen. Yep.
I can't fucking wait to draft. The draft season's over.
You're sick of the mock drafts, right? Everybody's mock draft that you got to read.
I'm sick of people thinking they know, with no possible fucking with unwavering confidence that they know this guy is going to be the best guy of all time. He's going to be this. He's going to be that.
Nobody.
All we have to do is look back 12 months, 24 months, 36 months ago, and look what they said pre-draft. There's always 50, 60 guys that aren't going to make it out of the first rounds. And then even of those guys who do make it in the first rounds, half of them end up being busts. So I just hate being lied to that degree about, or just people pretending there's some type of crazy wild expert. So, I get it. It's fun. You kind of dream about what could be. But I got to be honest with you, I just fucking hate draft season. It's the worst of the 12 months of the calendar. I'd rather I'd rather that time in between the like OTAs and minicamp, that like 12 month, that 12, excuse me, 4 weeks or so where there's nothing. I'd rather that than fucking the stupid bullshit over Twitter and Facebook and ESPN.
John, it doesn't end at draft night because the next night, the day after draft, everybody's grading the drafts on every fucking team, and then you got to we got to go through that fucking nightmare. Oh, he gets a D. Mel Kiper's telling the Giants, oh, they got a D. Like, fuck you, Mel Kiper. Right. Like, you don't know shit. You know, so like, yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that for the next months afterwards.
Well, listen, like I said, I think there is a lot of that whole trust issue is what we mentioned before. And one thing that you have to trust is believe in Joe Judge. And him going down to Penn State, he went down there for a reason. So I have to believe that if Parsons is sitting at 11 and we don't take him, I have to believe that Judge saw something that we didn't. And that would be, to me, the only way that we don't get him if he's sitting there at 11, unless maybe a guy like Smith is there and they just saw the playmaking ability in him and the way that he fits in with a big body and Galladay already on the outside is going to make this offense even more dynamic. But I'm not quite sure about that because there's going to be a hell of a lot more people in that second round as far as the wide receivers are concerned.
Well, what about Waddle if he's there at 11?
That's a great question, Mike. I don't know, man. You know how I feel about that. I said this in previous episodes where I said, look, man, you know, do you want to just line up the same guys and play like street football and just tell them to run out deep and like throw the ball up in the air and hope that one of these guys beat the defender? Because we have that. You know, like Ross can bring that effect. You know, Slay is supposed to be that guy. I just think it's too much for me. I don't know. Waddle. Honestly, if that is the pick at 11, I might have to get up and walk around for a little while and go outside.
You can go for a long walk in fucking Brooklyn. I tell you, I like Waddle. I think he's a playmaker, but the only thing that concerns me is his injuries, man. Like that's definitely a red flag, man. To go all the way up to number 11, I figured he would drop because of the injuries. I mean, last year he played in 6 games. He only had 28 receptions for about like less than 600 yards, 4 touchdowns, but that's a small sample size. So if you like just say like you double it, all right, that's only 8 touchdowns, you know, 1,200 yards, still way less than the Devontae, you know, but then again, they're on the same team, so it's only one football, so you really can't judge that either. So
absolutely. No, I was just gonna add to that, Mike, if you don't mind. Like, yo, that's what I don't get either. If you look at 2 years ago when you had Judy and Ruggs there, Devonta Smith had better numbers still. He was fucking right there with them. Like, it made no sense. And they were saying, like, oh, when he was the feature guy, look what he did. Yeah, no shit. Look what he did was the feature guy. When he was the number 3 guy, he still put up better numbers than Waddle. I don't get it. Are we just looking at blazing speed? Because we can go through a list of receivers that had plenty of speed just like that. We're like, oh, playmakers in college and did absolutely shit in the NFL because they were just beating guys that weren't that good or at that level that the NFL is going to bring. So that's my concern with Waddle. But guys, this is what we're talking about, man. This is part of the preview of what we're going to bring because next week's episode is going to be in depth with this shit. We're going to probably even go like 2-3 rounds in because there's a lot of different scenarios that play out. You guys know I've been doing those mock drafts, man. I sent them shits to you on Twitter. I'll start putting them out there so you guys can see my simulated mock drafts. I went all 6 rounds. And listen, once you make that pick at 11, the way the next pick and the pick after that go, man, everything fucking changes.
I don't know if John's going to look at those mock drafts. Probably not. It's not going to burn those stupid things.
If you're already feeling I'm going to be sick next week. I don't know if I could do
it. I might take a quick peek at it, but like after that, I just like my eyes go fucking numb. I can't read any more mocks.
I don't know. I do get a little stupid with it. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the fantasy sports that I can sit there and I do a bunch of those mock drafts and I'm like, oh, this is for real though. This is the Giants. Like they're fucking actually calling me up and asking for my advice, but.
Bro, there's like 17 to 20 people who run their fucking mock. Actually, but now that I think about it, now that I said it, it's probably more like a few dozen guys who run and have like 3, 4, 5 fucking mock drafts. Each time they do a little bit different. And by the time they get through 4 and 5 different drafts or mocks, excuse me, they've covered all bases, all of them. So it's like all it is one guy saying one thing and then the next guy saying the same thing he said last week, this week.
You covered really all your bases. That's what you're doing. So you're gonna post like after the draft when you have like one of the 25 mock drafts you did correctly. You're gonna post that one and say, hey, you see, I did it, guys. You know.
Oh, I called that. I called it. It was back in fucking November, but I called it.
I called it. Fucking idiot.
Well, that's why we're staying strong, right? I've been saying Parsons mainly, But Devonta Smith was also one of my guys, so I have to kind of like agree with Mike there. Slater's a new kind of wild card. I won't even take much credit for that. But Parsons or Smith, man, all day with me.
Yeah, I'm pro offensive line. I feel like I'm satisfied and honestly just tremendously excited by the weapons that we have. I think the combination of getting Saquon back healthy with Golladay being on the team, Slayton facing different coverages. Now he's facing wide receiver twos. Shepard going back to his more natural position in the slot. You have Kyle Rudolph for the red zone in between the 20s, and maybe even the red zone, but maybe even just in between the 20s, at least for 1 year. Evan Ingram's your third, fourth, fifth option. Hopefully he doesn't feel the same pressure. And, he can actually go back to his 2019, 2018 form where he had very, very few drop passes, very few situations where he hurt the team to that degree, to the degree he did in 2020. I mean, it's nice, it's cool to get a new shiny toy, but we just watched Eli for 6 or 7 years just get battered, the career just beaten out of him. Now to the point where people are questioning his Hall of Fame candidacy. It's ridiculous. If Eli Manning would have retired in 2014, 2015, there would have been no question he was a lock Hall of Famer. He already was one of up there, top 15, top 20 in most statistical categories, and he had two of the most magical playoff runs in sports history. Because we didn't focus on offensive line, now he's being questioned as if he even belongs in the Hall of Fame at all. So we just watched Dallas for 5-6 years have a dominant offensive line. We saw that offensive line make Zeke and Dak look like fucking, top tier talent when they probably shouldn't be, and now they've been paid like it. We saw the Eagles make Carson Wentz a literal MVP candidate with a good offensive line, and all they do, first round pick, second round pick, first round pick. You know what?
Round pick. There you go, though. That's what I mean. Like, I don't necessarily think this is going to be. People are going to be surprised. There's going to be a lot of talent in the second round this year. There's going to be a lot of fucking talent. Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the whole COVID shit from last season because a lot of these guys took off. So there's going to be people reaching for other guys that played last season versus guys that took a year off. And the whole first round is going to get kind of jumbled around where there's going to be people that are going to be fucking popping up in round two that you're going to be like, holy shit, how did this guy end up here? That's what I foresee.
Jules, you're 100% right. The second round is loaded. It's going to be loaded with a lot of offensive linemen. So, like, I know people like, oh, we're going to get another offensive lineman that's going to have to learn for a fucking couple years. But, I mean, Andrew Thomas, he's kind of was still learning as a number one draft pick. But, like, in the second round, dude, that's what I'm saying. That's my dream to get, like, a center, a legit center. I know Gates played well for us, but move Gates. Solidify that whole left side of the line. And then you have Hernandez and Shane Lemieux fight for that right guard. And then you have Matty P at the end with Nate, like, could come in, like, if somebody's hurt. Dude, I think we used a lot of draft capital last year on offensive linemen, man. I want Danny Jones to get another weapon, but I get it. Like, the offensive lineman, you want Danny Jones to be protected for life. I mean, I do too, but man, I think we could get a guy in the second round.
All I'm saying is if we do end up taking an old lineman at 11, he better not get fucking sacked. You know what I mean? Like, obviously he will, but I'm saying, like, that shit better be like a fucking steel wall or something where, like, this dude got sacked like 10 times for the whole season. Like, it better be some crazy, ridiculous thing like that. And I just don't know if that guy is there this year at 11. And that's my hesitance with that.
See, that's the thing, man. You're telling me not in the entire country, there's not one guard worthy of being drafted high in the draft? Like, I just feel like that's just an impossibility.
It's not that. It's just that there's so much other talent available in those earlier parts of the draft that a guy like that is going to be put on the back burner. Even though there's that importantness of having that type of offensive lineman there, guys need other positions. There's veterans that can fill in. We have guys that we have signed that are going to be just as good, if not, maybe the same caliber. Or this guy's just a little bit better as a rookie. So, like, instead, you could then get a value player that's actually going to come in and make an impact. And then later on in round 2, possibly even round 3, get like a little bit lower of a caliber player that might need like a little bit more time to develop, but is going to be able to fill in that hole perfectly while you have these studs on the outside. I don't know.
I tell you, like John, like normal, like I kind of like I lean on your side like a little bit with drafting that guy. Like, but say the Giants, if the Giants like went after like Trey Turner to play guard, right? If they signed him in the offseason, then I'm like, there's no way in hell they're going offensive lineman at number 11. It's just not happening. They'll get a guy later on, and then they'll groom him for like in a couple years. But they didn't do that, at least not yet. I mean, there's still time for them to go out and get Trey Turner. If they do that, then offensive lineman right off the board at number 11. But right now, it could be that guy. Maybe it is Slater. Maybe he slips. I don't know. I just don't know.
I'm just of the opinion that we don't have a ton of holes on this team, and one of the only holes that we actually have is at the guard position. And I think they made their intentions known last year of which way they were going based on their free agency moves, signing a middle linebacker, signing a cornerback. They made it pretty obvious that their pick at number 4 was going to be a tackle, and that's exactly what they ended up doing. And I think it's the same thing is true for this year. That's the one position that they really didn't address that they needed to. So that just tells me that they are laser focused in on that. I don't know where you're going to get this, what guy you're going to get that's really going to get a ton of time. Even if you draft Micah Parsons, right? That's awesome, but he's obviously going to need to adjust to the NFL, right? And he's not going to take over for Blake Martinez. So he's only going to be used in certain situations, right? You're going to run crazy heavy sets with your safeties.
Oh, that's not. No, he's taking over for Fecker. Like he's taking over that other. He's like he can go inside, they can go outside. He doesn't necessarily have to play middle linebacker. Like he can play like different sets. You can put him to the weak side. You can put him to the strong side. Like you don't necessarily have to bring in that extra element, especially on the first and second down.
He might be better on the weak side.
He might be.
Right, but if you're going to have 3 safeties on the field most of the time, I don't know. I just don't see him as he's going to be a player that until Blake's gone, that he's going to be playing, 3 downs every single drive. I just don't see it. Where
I will remain to be seen there, dude. Because I absolutely think he would. I mean, listen, at the very least, he'll be on the field for the first 2 downs. They're not going to want a safety in there like you're playing against a Derrick Henry, let's say, and you want 3 safeties in there. Come on, bro. He's going to run for fucking 400 yards on us. Like, I don't give a shit how good these safeties are.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry's like, how many Derrick Henrys are there in the NFL?
Listen, it's Ezekiel Elliott. We got to play twice, right? So you're gonna have to pay attention to that kind of a style of a running back, right? Yeah. Listen, Miles Sanders, when he gets healthy, and he might not be Derrick Henry, but he's an elusive running back, right? Antonio Gibson brought a whole different element to that game. Yeah. Those are guys we got to play 6 times this year. I don't give a fuck who we're playing, right? You know what I mean? Like, so that's something to keep in mind. You can't just. Passing downs on occasional nickelback blitzes, a second and long. Sure, you bring in all this shit to bring a different blitz package. Absolutely. But you got a stud linebacker that can learn from Martinez. Who cares if it takes him 2 to 3 years to become that stud linebacker? That's what we fucking want. And then you can build around him. That's why I'm sort of on the page with him. Because again, look, keep in mind, if this dude didn't have that baggage, he's a top 5 pick. That's what they're projecting this dude to be. You guys got to remember the talent that's there. And again, I am also going to go on record by saying that if he's sitting there at 11 and we do pass on him, that he must have shown a sign to us that we are unaware of, to say Joe Judge or something like that. And that's why they passed on him. But I think he's past that. He's doing everything he can to clean up his character. I just honestly believe, just like I said about Devonta, that he's not going to be there at 11. I'm just going to keep going out there. Like, if 5 quarterbacks and 3 receivers and a tight end can go in the top 9 picks, those 2 guys can go too, all right?
Well, we're going to have next week the whole mock draft to do, so.
That's right. You better get ready, John, because I know you don't like that mock shit, but we're doing that next week for our grand opening episode, all right?
Our conversation makes me fucking awesome, honestly.
This is us signing off, the former hosts of Giants Brawl, starting our own podcast, The Big Blue Offensive, all right? You can find this on Twitter. You're going to find us on Facebook. You're going to find us on YouTube. You're going to find us everywhere, right? Because we're going to now take all the time and effort that we put into Giants Brawl and put it all into this, but only 100 times harder, all right? So stay tuned. Start looking at your social media, because this is going to be blowing up everywhere. Talk to you soon.
At BBO NYG Podcast. Peace.